Hello, I'll do my presentation on the topic Research Trends of Picture Books for the Elderly in South Korea. South Korea has been an aging country with 7% of elderly of the total population. This is a national survival issue, such as we need understand the elderly and their intergenerational communication and elderly's human resource development. Our society needs to explore and promote the possibility of application of picture books as a result of expansion of the scope and target audience, including the elderly. Use of larger prints and picture books to improve the elderly's readability, considering their reduced physical cognitive ability, should be considered. Leisure activity for the elderly, literacy of Korean alphabet, intergenerational communication, media awareness, book reading service all should be considered as well. The needs for psychotherapy resource for the elderly also very effective, so we need to do more research on that. Let's see the theoretical foundation on the elderly using picture book research. Expansion of target population for all age group. They are using picture books for their daily reading. And recovering the elderly's confidence of Korean literacy, because they are illiterate and they have not been educated or having very difficult communication with others in reading and writing. So picture books can be a good communication tool because it is very easy to understand with a story and pictures together. So positive acceptance of themselves, because they have a very hard time and difficulty under low education without knowing the Korean alphabet, and also they accept others and their life reunion and resilience and self-integration could be more easily approachable after they read. They learn how to read Korean alphabet through picture books. Recovering their low self-esteem and depression, reducing suicidal thoughts, and also encouraging emotional expression and emotional control can be well effectively implemented in reading picture books for the elderly. So we need an open mind with an empathy for the elderly and positive understanding and awareness using picture books for the communication media. So emotional sympathy on grandchildren, caregiving, playmating, and housekeeping roles and cultural communicating could be the majority roles of the elderly. So we need to consider that with importance. Literacy educational resources and strengthening the elderly capability, we need to recognize that as a precious resource for our society, because our society has been aging with a getting larger and larger population of the elderly. So in order to prevent the elderly's dementia and improve their cognitive skill, we make the most use of picture books for increasing and decreasing the bad thing and increasing the good thing. I have 5 research questions. What are the research trends of picture book related for the elderly by year and quarter every 4 years? What are the research trends of picture book related for the elderly by subject? And by themes, by method, and by their academic area of the researchers. I collected 43 MA and PhD dissertation, academic journal articles, books, and research reports related with the elderly published during the last 15 years, so from 2005 to 2019. I've collected actually 136 original data with the keyword elderly picture book. However, there are overlapped data, and some are absent of full text, so I cannot read, and some are the inappropriate research topic, although they were hit in RIS program. So I have my analysis criteria that have been adapted by the most frequently used criteria for research trends. So I use annual and quarterly research subject, research theme, and method, and researchers' academic fields. Those are my analysis criteria. Let me see the result. Annual quarterly research trends of picture books for the elderly. First quarter, so 2005 to 2007. It has only one data up to 2005 with a low trend, research trend until 2010. But two data in second quarter, 2008 to 2010, and 10 studies in third quarters. So from 2011 and 13, and 80, a little bit decreased, 8 studies in fourth quarter, and 12.1 in fifth quarter. So it has been increasingly developed and more active, however, a little bit low down in fourth quarter. So I could find increasing trend from year to 2011 annually and quarterly steadily, but a little low in fourth quarter. Steadily increasing from third quarter with dissertation and journal articles, research reports other good findings. Book publication is 0 point. There is none study which deals with the elderly's picture book research in book style. Only 2.3% are done in research report funded by government. So in comparison with other research types, so dissertation and also academic journal article. Let me see the table 1. Let me show the table 1. So if you see the 2005, only one journal article could be found, and 2006 there's none, and 2007 only one dissertation was found. So only 2. So in first quarter, only. I'm sorry. This is not quality research. This is every 3 years research trends. Let me. I am very sorry for using wrong term. And second term. Total study was 2, so very similar. So first term and second term has been very similar trends, but from the third term there have been a little bit of increasing study, and it goes a little bit down on fourth term, but it goes up and in fifth terms. So 21, so in and dissertation, and 23, so it is 48.8%, and 21 studies have been implemented. So it counts about 46.5%. But research report has been low always. Let us see research trends of picturebook related for the elderly by subject. So classification of 50 studies into human subject and material subject due to overlapping counting of research subject. 36 studies on human resources. Human subjects were 78% and 11 studies on physical subject. Among human subjects, 30 studies on the elderly were 60% and 9 studies on the non-elderly such as young children because they are the main communication partner for the elderly. It accounts for 18%. For elderly studies, 11 studies were the represented elderly in the picture books. Various types of research on the elderly general, learning Korean alphabet because they are illiterate. They used picture book for how to teach Korean alphabet. It was very sad. And also they usually do housekeeping work, and also some research was dealing with mild dementia for the dementia of the elderly. Some elderly were abused and they have a memory impaired. Some female elderly and retired monk were included in these various types of research on the elderly. Non-elderly subject, the young children are the most, and other age group were not done. Physical subject, the picture books are the most. So 5 studies, so 10% of total. Let's see table 2. Research trends of picture book related for the elderly by research subject. So the most subject were the elderly presented in the picture book. So 22%. Elderly in general, 18%. So research subject, the elderly was the most, 60%. And non-elderly young children are the second, and other age group were not that included much. So non-human, so physical subject, the picture books are the most, but it counts out about 10%. So they deal with some research was done for the program for the elderly and bibliotherapy materials, story creation, but they are still very low. Research trends of picture book related for the elderly by themes. Let us see 13 theme categories and 61 subcategories and 180 different themes were estimated in total. Because one research, there are various themes, so in total 180 different themes were counted. Some and these are the multi-counted too. 31 studies on the elderly's psycho-emotion were implemented, and 13.3% on the recognition and understanding of the elderly, and 12.2% on the relationship and literacy activity, learning Korean alphabet, program-related analysis like character analysis, selecting book criteria for psychotherapy materials, elderly's characteristic and images, educating the elderly, communication are the most frequent in order. Subcategories of Subcategories of the elderly psycho-emotion related to their death and depression and suicidal issues are the most frequent in order. Let's see table 3. As I mentioned, psycho-emotional therapy theme was the most frequently implemented research topics for the elderly with picture books. And also recognizing and understanding the elderly, whether about 13%, and literacy activity and program, and characteristic of the elderly, and educating the elderly, and communication, and rhetoric, analysis, post-reading activity, and cognitive activity, and picture books are frequently implemented in order. Let us see the research trend by method. 11 literature studies, so 34.9%, and 14 quantitative studies, and 13 qualitative studies, and mixed studies were implemented for the picture book related for the elderly by research method. So among literature research, literature analysis and literature review are the most, and quantitative research, experimental research are the most, and qualitative research, action research the most, accounts for the most. This is the table 4, which shows that literature research was the most frequently implemented for the picture-related research for the elderly. Then the quantitative and qualitative and mixed research. Let's see the research trends for the elderly by researchers' academic field. The most active academic area in research participation for picture books related to the elderly was the education, about more than 60%. So in education, especially in pedagogy, 11 studies were just education general, and 6 studies in early childhood education were implemented, and 4 in literature. Psychotherapy areas, the biblio and literature therapy was the most. Diverse academic areas show their active research participation in the picture book research for the elderly. Let us see table 5. So as you see in the table 5, the education field is the most frequently participated academic field, so more than 60%. So counseling and psychotherapy only 4%, and social studies very lower than that. So let's do conclusion. Before conclusion, we need to discuss. As the year and 3-year term progresses, the number of various academic types and research papers increases. That it reflects the needs of the national society in the study of the elderly. And also research on the elderly accounts for 60% of all study, which shows that the evidence of attempts to renew the perception of the elderly in various types of subjects for awareness of the elderly and intergenerational communication trials. The reason why the subject of psycho-emotional therapy for the elderly accounts for 72%, it is necessary to communicate with the family, generation, society that has suppressed many psycho-emotional needs. So we need to utilize picture books as a medium of effective communication, mutual understanding, and recognizing for all age groups among or between generations. Human Resource Development Program for the elderly, we need that because it can contribute to our aging society through their potential human resource development and improving their learning skills. We need to develop and publish and disseminate the picture books for the elderly research more systematically, more diversely too. Let's conclude and do some suggestions for this research. A systematic and diverse perspective research and theoretically well-founded study of the picture book research for the elderly, implementation of national research reports are required in the future. It is necessary to develop, publish, and disseminate research on picture books for the elderly, specialized in developmental tasks of old age, and as a communication medium for the elderly between and among generations, and with family issues and social context in larger scope, in bigger scope. Other academic areas in addition to academic education field needs to actively participate in more and in-depth interdisciplinary research such as education for the elderly, educational anthropology and sociology and welfare studies, and biblio and poetry therapy for healing them. Although the subject of psycho-emotional therapy is the most frequent research topic, but education and reading therapy, reading and bibliotherapy and literary therapy are the most frequent research field. So other fields like counseling and information science could be more required to be active participation. As young children in early childhood education are the currently most research subject for the elderly, but other age group needs to be good research subject too. Thank you for your attention.